and spending increases. That wasn't the direction they wanted to go. The Perot vote, which came out of the Republican Party, was a clear signal of that. And I thought that's the direction that Bill Clinton would go. Even Newt Gingrich was saying about 2 months into his term, this guy could be another FDR. I don't know what drew him off, if you will, to the left. But I think that was a fatal mistake, if it is a fatal mistake, and I don't think we should say so. We ought to remember 1946 came out into 1948. But that's where he went off the track. I think he may have one chance to try to put this together and govern from the center and build a coalition and see if he gets cooperations. But I think he had an opportunity that's now gone.
Okay, Pat Buchanan, thanks for joining us from the Washington Bureau.
Bernie, I need a clarification. I couldn't hear. What did he say the fatal mistake was that the president made? I think it's important to underline.
Moving to the left.
Just moving to the left, not reaching out a hand to the Republican Party.
Yes.
Well, it took me a long time to ask Pat that question because it really goes to the core of emotions and what have you, but he thought that he was creating change. What's your take on that?
In a way, the election of Clinton was the voters saying to this man who is the consummate professional politician, can you make things work? Clinton promised he could make government work. So did Ross Perot. Ross Perot said he could do it because he wasn't a politician. Clinton said he could do it because he was a skillful professional politician. The voters do not seem to have been convinced in the last 2 years that the Democrats can make government work, so they say, we're about to give up on government. That's why they're voting for so many Republicans.
But is 2 years really an adequate amount of time?
We have an impatient electorate, and they don't like what they've seen. They don't believe that this president has been able to deliver.
Well, we've got somebody we're going to put some of these questions to, and that is the White House Chief of Staff, Leon Panetta. He's standing by to join us. Mr. Panetta, thank you for being with us.
Nice to be with you, Judy.
We've got several questions we want to put to you. Number one, it looks like the Democrats have lost control, are losing control, and anyway moved in that direction of the Senate. And CNN is projecting that the Republicans will take control of as many as 50 additional seats in the House of Representatives.
Well, it's obviously a disappointing trend in both the Senate and the House. We're not willing to surrender either at this point. We think we still have a chance with the Senate, particularly if we can win Minnesota, and we'll pick up California and still have a shot in Washington. And in the House, I never give up on the House till I see the numbers coming in from the West.
So even though the projections are out there, you're hanging on till the last minute?
Oh, yeah, always.
Well, what do you say, Leon Panetta, when you hear Pat Buchanan and others who say there is a crisis in the Democratic Party? This change that the voters indicated they wanted 2 years ago has just not been delivered by the White House.
Well, there's no question that the voters tonight were sending the same message they sent 2 years ago, which is that they do want change, and they want change in a much more rapid fashion. Obviously, the president heard that message. We did try to produce change, certainly in terms of the economy, trying to get the deficit down, trying to produce more jobs here in this country. But the people sent a message that they don't like the way Washington does business. They want more to be done to try to clean it up here. And they obviously take it out in the party that's in power. So the president's really got to reach out now and try to work with the Republicans to see if we can, in fact, implement change these next 2 years.
Was the big mistake that I'm quoting Pat Buchanan here, he said the fatal mistake President Clinton made was in not reaching out to the Republicans, was in effect in moving too far to the left?
I think the issue was not so much reaching out to Republicans. After all, the president did reach out to the Republicans. We made an effort on the economic plan, and that was rejected. We made an effort on health care, and that was rejected. We were able to work on the NAFTA treaty, the trade treaty, together. We were able to work on crime and some other issues together. I think the real problem was that we had obviously a very ambitious agenda. We couldn't get it all done. I think the public, when they looked at some of the failures that we were not able to achieve, such as health care, they kind of drew a conclusion that things were bottled up here. And I think that in part contributed to the disillusionment that took place, and it was obviously reflected in the vote tonight.
We don't have the final numbers on the Senate, but assuming, or the House for that matter, but assuming the trends continue as they are, the Democrats lose control of both houses, is this president going to be able to get the remainder of his agenda done by the end of his term?
Well, the president's clearly going to reach out on a bipartisan basis to the Republicans. Every one of those elected tonight has to assume the responsibility that goes with that election in helping to lead this country and trying to solve the problems that are there, whether it's in welfare reform, keeping our economic recovery going, some of the political reforms that need to be made. I think those are the issues that the public wants to see change on. And I think the Republicans now are going to have to share some responsibility in trying to deliver on those concerns. They can't simply walk away from it.
All right, Leon Panetta, Chief of Staff at the White House, we thank you for being with us. You mentioned there are several races we're watching, and CNN will continue to keep an eye. Governor, Senate, and House races, a lot to keep an eye on. We'll be right back.
One of the most modern fleets from the world's most thriving region brings you the latest in passenger comfort, exquisite cuisine, and warm hospitality. Just a few of the things that make Asiana the jewel of Asia.
CNN is declaring that George W. Bush has unseated and upset Democratic incumbent Governor Ann Richards in that battle in Texas. The Republicans pick up another state house tonight.
No Texas governor has won a second consecutive term in the last 20 years. And remember, there was another woman on the ballot. She won tonight, the Republican candidate, the incumbent for the Senate seat, Kay Bailey Hutchison.
In the state of Wisconsin, we are declaring Herb Kohl, the incumbent Democratic senator, the winner.
Herb Kohl is a wealthy Democrat, spending a lot of money on his own campaign. His ads have stressed his fiscal conservatism. He's seeking a second term, and he's won it.
Not a surprise in Utah. Orrin Hatch, the incumbent Republican, going back to Washington.
He is seeking his fourth term. He's won it. He's very conservative, but he gets along very well, including with a lot of liberals like Ted Kennedy.
We're going to go to a break right now, so for our local cable stations, we'll be right back right after that with more.
Tonight in the Crossfire, fallout from election 94. Who's licking their wounds? A special recap. Crossfire tonight, 11:30 p.m. Eastern on CNN.
Major Margaret Houlihan, nickname Hot Lips.
I demand satisfaction.
Tired lately, Frank?
Demonstrates grace under pressure.
You better get off me, Buster.
Shows courage in the face of catastrophe.
It's an emergency. It's a good thing I'm a nurse.
She's a woman in command who won't take any lip from just anyone.
Hank.
On MASH. Weeknights at 11. CNN.
CNN is declaring in California, incumbent Republican Governor Pete Wilson has turned back the challenge by Democrat Kathleen Brown.
And a surprising concession speech, Dan Rostenkowski, longtime former chairman of House Ways and Means, conceding.
I'm grateful. This is a time when I'm going to be able to get home and irritate my wife and my family. I'm going to go to Washington and clean out my desk. Yeah. And hope that President Clinton will get as much cooperation from the new majority in the Senate and whatever the majority is in the House that they've campaigned on. I think that Mr. Clinton, the President of the United States, has written a tremendous record. I stood with him. I think that health care is something that is going to happen, whether it happens incrementally or whether it will take some time to take effect. But the people in this community are very concerned about crime, and they're concerned about whether or not the government will serve them with a health care provision. And so to you, ladies and gentlemen, that have been supportive, thank you very much. I go now and maybe look for a new...
Well, the former chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, Dan Rostenkowski of Illinois, defeated by a virtual nobody in terms of the campaign, 31-year-old Chicago trade lawyer, Michael Patrick Flanagan. In Georgia, CNN is calling Newt Gingrich the winner. Well, we're not calling his race now in his district, but this is the way our totals look, with 49% of the people reporting from his district. Mr. Gingrich with 62% to Ben Jones 38%. He joins us now live. What was going through your mind as you heard the words of Dan Rostenkowski conceding defeat to Mr. Flanagan?
Well, Bernie, I think at one level, frankly, real sadness. I mean, Dan Rostenkowski is a man who served his country for a long time. I think served it as he thought was right. He's a product of a different era and a different time and a different set of rules. But I found in my dealing with him that while he was a liberal Democrat and a big city machine Democrat and we had a lot to argue over, there was a toughness and an integrity in him that I think you had to admire even when you were fighting him. And I think the last 2 years have been very sad ones. I think it was the right decision for Chicago. I'm glad that we have won the seat. But nonetheless, I don't think you can see somebody who has served their country that long ending their career in that kind of situation without a sense of sadness for them as people, as human beings.